Hello everyone, Caslana here, and welcome back to Interactive Horror Stories. In the last episode, we got the second ending, which I think is the better ending to After Funeral. And in this episode, we are going to take a look at Crystal Skull. And taking a closer look, I noticed that there's Crystal Skull and then there's Crystal Skull 2. I didn't actually realize that. So maybe we'll just do like 4 videos of that and then go to Evil Beneath the Ground. Who knows? I just don't want to split it up if it's the same, so. Alright, Crystal Skull. You are a king who is loved by his people. You have a serious problem though. Your only child, Juliana, has an incurable disease and she is dying. You hear about a crystal skull which can cure illnesses and that people have visions. It is brought to your palace from the continent of America. But your man warns you that the skull might be cursed. Will the crystal skull bring health to the princess or doom? Ooh. Cypress, why? I'm just gonna let him do something. Play. Crystal Skull. It's a very pretty skull. I have a rose quartz skull. Being a king is hard. Being a good king is even harder. You know this well as the sole ruler of a European kingdom in the age when America is discovered. It has been 25 years since you ascended the throne. Your subjects are content with your rule. Your country is in peace and the people are wealthy. But there is something wrong with your life. Your daughter, Juliana, is ill. She's only 18 years old and she has got an illness that nobody could cure yet. Princess is dying and she is your only child and heir to the throne. Every doctor you could find tried to cure her. You have tried almost everything. Almost. You have been informed about a miraculous artifact unearthed in the continent of America. It is a human skull made of crystal. It amazes the scholars because no method is known to carve up such an excellent shape of a skull out of crystal. The skull doesn't belong to the world that you know, but to an ancient civilization that has been lost. But what amazes the scholars is not just the impossible creation. The skull is told to bring miracles to whom touches it with their bare hands. Some people tell that they saw visions from the future. Some tell that they saw how the human race has originated. And some tell that the skull can cure their illnesses. Those couldn't be cured with the medication available to your era. Naturally, you ordered your best men to bring the miraculous skull to the palace. It's midnight now. You're in Juliana's chamber. She's lying in her bed, holding your hands as you sit beside her. No candles are lit inside. Full moon enlightens the princess's chamber, shining on her long blonde hair and blue eyes. Everyone has blue eyes. She is too weak. Her skin is pale. She has under-eye bags, showing her illness. You already suffered the loss of your wife 10 years ago. Now you can't stand seeing your only daughter slowly die. Juliana asks you with a soft voice, Father, am I going to die? I won't allow that. She smiles. I know, Father, you are a mighty king. I know that you will do the best by your subjects and me. The door of the chamber is knocked on. The servants generally don't disturb the royal family members at night, so this must be important. A brunette boy, one of your servants, gets inside the chamber with politeness. He looks at you and says, Your Majesty, the artifact has been brought. You had been waiting for this moment for so long. Kiss Juliana's forehead. I will come back. After you kiss Juliana's forehead and say, I will come back, she brings your hand to her pale lips and kisses it. Then you leave Juliana alone in her chamber. At the exit of Juliana's chamber, you see Sir William, one of the knights who were appointed with the task of bringing the ancient skull. He is a strong man with black hair and a round beard. He wears gloves and holds a bag. "Your Majesty," he says, and kneels before you. Signal him to stand up. Let's go to my study chamber. Well, that was the only option, so... Sir William follows you as you walk to your study chamber. The chamber is well lit with silver candelabras. All the furniture is classy. It is a king's study room, after all. There is only one chair. It is for you. You sit on it. Sir William stands by you and slowly pulls the artifact from his bag. You push the books on the study desk to open space for the artifact. "Here it is," he says, and gently puts the crystal skull on the study desk. Don't touch it because it's like, did they mention something? The skull is truly a masterpiece. It is crafted by humans. All the details of a human skull are imprinted with care on raw crystal. Lights coming from the candles are refracted inside the crystal, gaining various colors of a rainbow. It's magnificent, but you sense something sinister, something that doesn't belong to our world. Did you touch the skull? Yes, we did touch the skull with our bare hands, and we all had visions. We took glances from our futures. Some of us saw how they will die. Some of us saw our grandchildren, he continues. But maybe we shouldn't have touched the skull. The day we were about to leave, a native man came to us. He looked like the chief of his tribe. He knew little of our language, but he shouted some words that we could understand. "Cursed, no touch." So we haven't touched the skull with our bare hands again. I know that our princess needs to find a cure. I also know that we received reliable information about the magical powers of the skull when it comes to incurable diseases. But Your Majesty, I have got a very bad feeling about this skull. I believe the wise decision is to throw this skull into the sea. Well, this was like the only way to save the daughter, but he's feeling uneasy. I don't know. Let's try letting her touch it. The knight sighs. "As you wish, Your Majesty, but if you are going to bring the skull to her, I wish you would wear gloves." Wear gloves, yes. You look for gloves around the study chamber. Sir William pulls his own gloves off. "I think you wish Juliana to touch the skull as soon as possible. Let's not wait for servants to find your gloves," he says, and gives you them. You wear the gloves and hold the crystal skull with your covered hands. Let me bring the skull to Juliana. You thank Sir William for his services and let him go. You carry the skull to Juliana's chamber. You enter her chamber and see that she hasn't slept yet. She rises up and sits on her bed. She looks at the skull in awe. "It looks marvelous and scary," she says. You approach Juliana and let her touch the skull. As Juliana touches the skull, she closes her eyes and doesn't react to anything in external world. You understand that she is having a vision. After 10 seconds, she opens her eyes with a gasp. "I saw things! I don't know how to describe them. They were pitch black creatures, so ugly. Their eyes were red as flames, and they all stared at me." She starts to cry. "Please keep this thing away from me, please. I don't want to be alone." So you decide to keep the skull in your study room and let your daughter sleep. She just said she didn't want to be alone. Oh, and I want to be alone. Never mind, I misread it. After this tiring day, you go to your chamber. There are no guards at the door. You just trust everyone in the palace. You are a loved king. The furniture is luxurious in this chamber too. You take a glance at your reflection in the mirror. Examine self? You take pride in how you looked. You are a middle-aged man, but you still look as handsome as you were young. Okay. Your looks are an important factor that makes you a charismatic leader, besides being fair and wise. Oh, hold up, sleep. I didn't click the thing. You wear your nightgown and get in your bed. It is a bed for 2 people, but you haven't slept with anyone since your wife passed. You have a secret that you will keep from everyone. Sometimes you hug the second pillow in your bed, as if it was someone you love. You've done this since your childhood. Nobody needs to know it. It doesn't take long for you to fall asleep. I do that too. Father? You wake up to Juliana's voice. She gently holds your shoulder. You look at her. She has a happy smile on her face. Her skin is not pale, but saturated with life. She no longer has bags under her eyes. I feel wonderful. She takes a few steps back and starts dancing. You laugh with happiness, stand up and hug her. Juliana walks in the corridors of the palace, dancing and laughing. You and the people of the palace are very happy to see her this way. She used to be like a ghost before. You plan a feast and invite all the lords of the kingdom. A few days later, every lord arrives to the capital city to celebrate the health of the princess. At the feast, Juliana is the center of everybody's attention. She talks with everyone joyfully, makes jokes, makes people laugh. When the feast is over and it's midnight, everybody goes to the chambers reserved for them. You accompany Juliana to her chamber. You put a kiss on her forehead before letting her sleep. Then you go to your own chamber and fall asleep in peace. You wake up to the sound of knocking on your chamber's door. It's still night. You wonder who dared to wake you at this hour. It's the same brunette boy who had informed you about the arrival of the skull. Your Majesty, I'm deeply sorry for disturbing you at this hour, but there's something wrong. There are laughing sounds coming from the princess's chamber. It's her voice, but it doesn't sound normal. Check in on it. You walk into Juliana's chamber. Like the servant said, hysterical laughters come from inside. You decide to enter. You see Juliana at the balcony of her chamber, facing back at you. She laughs under the pale moon. You approach her and put your hand on her shoulder. She turns back at you. Her face is normal, smiling. Just when you were going to ask if she was okay, she responds, I know it looks funny, Father, but I'm fine. Please leave me alone, she says. She stops laughing, gets in her bed with a smile on her face. You decide to leave her alone and go back to your chamber. Whew. You can't sleep. You feel something is wrong. So wrong. The door of your chamber opens. There is only one person who is allowed to enter without knocking on the king's door. So you understand that it's Juliana who's entered. Like you guessed, you see your daughter's silhouette. She closes the door and approaches you with a smile on her face. Juliana? She leans down to you, gently pulls the other pillow that you don't use. Juliana is dead, she says, pushing the pillow on your face. You struggle, but whoever or whatever is trying to kill you is too strong. The king is dead, long live the king, she shouts. Why is your own daughter committing regicide? And referring herself as king rather than queen? That doesn't make sense at all. That is the end of your reign and your life. Oh, there are 3 endings to this one. Oh boy, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. And in the next episode, we're gonna get one of the other endings. See you guys then.